Hello and welcome back together to my weekly update on the financial markets. Today I cover the S&P 500, US oil, gold and Bitcoin, so that you know what to do in the markets the weeks ahead. And I guess that the weeks ahead get a little bit stormier than you might think. So stay tuned and let's start directly with the S&P 500 on the monthly time frame. Yeah, here the S&P 500 on the monthly time frame, like promised. Normally, I don't look at the monthly that often with you together, but this time we have to because I see similar situations than in the past, and that's always worth noticing. Here's the current situation. We are about to break this 10-month moving average to the downside, and the MACD indicator is about to cross to the downside. Back in the past, around January 2022, we had a similar situation where we broke the 10-month moving average to the downside, and also the indicator was about to turn to the downside. What followed here was a massive correction to the downside, correlating with the Russia-Ukraine war. And yeah, we have also geopolitical hard times at the moment, so we never know what's happening. But I want to introduce the idea of a huger correction here. If we drop down to our usual highest time frame, the weekly time frame where each candle represents 1 week of price action, we can see the old situation here. We had a broken weekly uptrend, got broken to the downside, and then continued the overall downtrend. Also, prices made higher highs and higher lows, while MACD was making lower highs. So a divergence MACD to price, which normally ends in a correction in the direction that MACD is showing us. At the moment, we have a similar situation. Prices making higher highs and higher lows, while the MACD stays flat or even is declining slightly. So we got a divergence to the MACD to price. MACD is pointing downside, and also we've seen a weekly uptrend getting broken or violated to the downside. I copied here this ghost pattern from this decline to this top. And yeah, it looks pretty good to me. It could happen exactly like that. It will not happen exactly like that, but maybe similar, and that would be enough. Also, if we want to use the Elliott wave tool here, we could count an A, B, C, D, E wave to the upside, the overall long-term uptrend since the last major low, where we touched the 200 moving average on the weekly, starting a new bull trend. And now we could expect an A, B, C pattern to the downside corrective move like we have seen in the past. That would bring us down to this weekly orange dotted uptrend line, the 0.382 Fibonacci retracement level, or even one level lower to the 0.5 Fibonacci retracement level in combination with this weekly support zone that was back in the past resistance for price, where we have seen the start of the first decline here in January 2022. So the old major top. That could be possible targets, probably meeting with the 200 moving average till then. And yeah, I would like to introduce this idea, maybe taking even short trades in the S&P 500 index, but for that, let's drop down one time frame lower. The daily time frame. Here you can see we have a support zone on the daily here, where price got stopped to the upside a couple of times, but then was acting also as support while price tested it from the upside. Currently, we are testing it from the upside in combination with the 200 moving average on the daily. We have also here MACD divergence to price. So this correction was shown already by that. And I would expect, because we are a bit oversold, you can see that the MACD indicator is really stretched to the downside, and you can see it in some minutes also at the 4-hour time frame where it's more extreme. I would expect that we maybe got rejected here at this daily support zone again to the upside, meeting this breakout level or this retesting this broken weekly uptrend line, and then continuing lower like we did in the past scenario. That would be a tradable event. Let's drop to the 4-hour time frame. Here you can see that I was drawing in a 4-hour blue dotted downtrend line, and here you can see the MACD indicator seems like it wants to cross to the upside. We are pretty much stretched like in past situations to the downside, where normally price goes higher afterwards. So I wouldn't sell any long-term positions if you're more active with them. Right now, I would wait for this pullback to the upside. Then you get a better price for your assets if you want to put some on the market again and speculate that this correction will happen and collect them later to a cheaper price. Yeah, what do I think could be tradable? Let's put this path in. I could expect that we get a pullback back to this breakout level or even the 200 moving average on the 4-hour time frame. Let's say the arrow moves to this, then we get a break below that daily support zone, retest and break again, and then follow the path like I have drawn in at the daily and weekly time frame. There are a couple of ways to trade this scenario. Because we lost this major low here to the downside, it's nearly confirmed that we left the uptrend behind, but it will get really confirmed if we see this pullback and the pullback broken again to the downside. That would be the main sign that this prediction could be real, like drawn in on the weekly time frame, and we see a major correction. So what do I want to do? I probably wait for this pullback and open up a short position right there with the stop loss above the last high of the above the last all-time high. And then my stop loss, my take profit would be way lower around the level I would expect a rebalance or end of a correction. So the weekly uptrend line in orange dotted in combination with the 0.382 Fibonacci retracement level. That would be the smaller position I would take, 0.5 to 1% at risk if we see a new all-time high. And I would enlarge my position if we see a break after that below this low here and take that out to the lower side. That would be the sign to me, maybe open here up another short trade with a not so good risk-reward ratio, but I would add up to this trade. That's my idea for the S&P 500 index to the short side. What happens if we don't get this correction and we continue higher? That would be fine to me and to my long-term investing assets. But I think it's a little bit unrealistic because we lost this major low here. And yeah, I would bet on this scenario because it's statistically more likely in my view. If we see a new all-time high, we wait and see and evaluate the situation from the beginning. And I would let you know in my next weekend report like always. That's it for the S&P 500 index, guys and girls. Let's switch to US oil. US oil here at the weekly time frame, we can see a monthly red solid downtrend. That one got broken to the upside in combination with the 200 moving average on a weekly. And since then, we are making a pullback to this breakout level. That's holding since then pretty good. And we had also a weekly downtrend line in orange. That one got broken to the upside, but we went directly into a triangle pattern here that got broken to the downside, which is normally a bearish sign, but we haven't been able to make a lower low since then. We tried the breakout, got rejected by the 200 moving average and went lower again in this range again. Let's drop down one time frame lower to the daily time frame. Here you can see I was able to throw in a white solid daily downtrend line. And yeah, what should I say? I don't want to trade long till I see a breakout of this or a change in trend. It's likely that we will see here a breakout because this level here was often support for price, and after we rise again to the upside. I don't want to trade short here because this weekly support zone is too near to price. So I think if we decline even lower, we will find the bottom here in this weekly support zone. If we break that one to the downside and retest it, that would be another story. After that, I would also be open again for short positions in oil, but at the moment I am not. Let's drop one time frame lower to the 4-hour time frame. You can see again this white solid daily downtrend line. At the moment, we don't have a divergence in MACD to price, so MACD drops lower, price drops lower, nothing to spot here. And yeah, the 4-hour support zone got broken to the downside. It reclimbed it again, but yeah, you can see it, lower highs and lower lows following each other. And I don't want to trade long till I see that change. How could that look like? We had this move. We would make a higher low, so we don't lose this one. And we would see a higher high afterwards. A retest of this broken daily downtrend line, and then a takeout of this pullback to the upside. and then I would like to trade it long again. That could look like this if the situation happens similar, at least. Yeah, that should be a nice trade. But yeah, let's wait and see if that happens. Like thrown in, no guarantees. Make research by yourself, like always. That's it for oil. Not that complicated at the moment. Let's switch to gold. Gold here on the weekly time frame looks long-term absolutely beautiful. After we have survived this area where price got often rejected in the past, we broke it finally to the upside, and since then we are in a solid, stable uptrend, putting a lot of profit in everyone's pocket if you're invested in gold. Yeah, we had higher highs and higher lows so far, and so the uptrend is still intact. At the moment I see on the weekly at least, it could be a divergence in the MACD to price, so price makes higher highs while MACD makes lower highs. Could speak for a correction incoming and could also align with the equity market going down in the first place. Afterwards gold normally gets bought again, but let's see. If we drop one time frame lower to the daily time frame, we can see that the daily uptrend is still intact. We went from this last major correction again into an uptrend. This uptrend at the moment is broken to the downside and currently retesting this breakout level or this daily broken uptrend line. The MACD indicator turned to negative, or at least crossed to the downside. Could be also a sign for a decline. We had already a decline, but I would expect to continue it a little bit, maybe to this daily uptrend again and the last high of this correction here. And from there on, I would get interested again in taking long trades if I see a shift from a downtrend to a long uptrend again. And yeah, at the 4-hour time frame, you can see that we already met the 200 moving average on the 4-hour time frame. We got immediately rejected from that to the upside. Now in a sideways consolidation here, we got a MACD divergence to price, so an indicator that correction is in front of the door. We are getting that right now. You could argue to short that one if you see a breakout of this range to the downside, stop loss above the range, and take profit then at the daily uptrend or slightly above that. You could do that, or you can let it be. That will probably my strategy. I don't want to short this strong uptrend. I often burned my fingers with this kind of strategy. Hasn't to mean that it will not function, but yeah, I'll probably wait till that happens. So a movement like that, and then see again higher highs and higher lows, and then trade this scenario to the upside. I would inform you if I see that, like always, in my weekly reports. So subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. If we see the directly breakout to the upside, I am also not on board, because maybe that will get double top scenario. I don't trust this weekly divergence at the moment and the weak equity markets. But if that happens and we see a new all-time high, I have to readjust and make a new plan, and I update you like always then in the video. That's it for gold. So nothing to do, only watching and reacting afterwards. That's it for gold. Let's switch to Bitcoin against the US dollar. Bitcoin on the monthly time frame. I also want to start on the monthly, so a bigger picture on Bitcoin with you together, because I want to show you that the 10-day moving average on the monthly in Bitcoin was often a good time to buy this asset, like you can see here in the past. And that could also happen right here. That would mean that we maybe see even a dip lower again, and slightly violated also to the downside, maybe to this last top of this last corrective move. Let's see. That's on a monthly. Let's drop down to the weekly time frame. Here, the weekly time frame, we can see MACD cross to the downside. We got a massive correction at the moment, 30% nearly. The weekly uptrend is still intact. The 10-week moving average was broken to the downside, and we are stretched pretty much right now to the downside. So maybe a little bit oversold, but it's a risk on asset. So if you take risk out of the equity markets and that the equity markets tank down, you can't expect really that Bitcoin decouples from that completely. Yeah, so I think if we see falling prices for stocks, we probably see also a weak Bitcoin. We are in the last year of the 4-year cycle, so normally the most bullish year for Bitcoin, at least in past cycles. That was always the case since the beginning, inception of Bitcoin. So I trust in that. That's the statistical edge we have, that the past will at least repeat similar. And so I stay invested in Bitcoin. I'm speculating right now or thinking about reducing maybe some of the short-term reserves I build up to sell if we see a major blow off top, to reduce them, to don't run the risk that we see larger corrections. But my main core Bitcoin position will, of course, stay untouched. I survived so many 70 and 80% declines. I will not give up on them with this small 30% pullback here. So the weak hands can get shaken out, the strong hands stay in the game. But make research by yourself and also decisions by yourself. That's only my view of the things and what I do with my own money. Let's drop down one time frame lower to the daily time frame. You can see after we went out of this sideways consolidation, we have seen the push about the 100,000 US dollar level for Bitcoin, went into this sideways consolidation here, made a slight higher high, but then declined to the downside, broke also this range to the lower side. The 200 moving average on the daily at the moment stops price from declining further. We have seen a violation of this daily uptrend, but all at the moment only candlesticks coming out of it and no major closure below that. So there's a chance that price will hold here and continue higher again. That could look like something like that. We move a little bit more sideways into a triangle formation. You'll see it later on the 4-hour time frame. A breakout, a retest, and a break of the retest to the upside, at least to the upper range, or then finally, hopefully, new all-time highs to complete the 4-year cycle to the end of the year. Yeah, so it doesn't look that bearish, yeah, even if your Bitcoin position is in a book loss at the moment. If you drop down to the 4-hour time frame, you can see that here is a white dotted downtrend line. That's the main indicator. If we see a pullback above that, a retest, and a break of the pullback to the upside, I would like to trade it long again. At the moment we are making here, you can see it somehow a triangle formation, so the swings get smaller and smaller, and normally after we have peaked in this triangle, you can expect a major move either to the upside or to the downside. To the downside would be bad. I also wouldn't short Bitcoin here, to be honest, because at the moment I don't see a good risk reward ratio or where I should place my stop loss. In such scenarios, you have also sometimes fake outs, so you have to wait for the break, the retest, and then the break of the retest to the lower side and put your stop loss above the last major high. You could speculate that Bitcoin price will come all the way down to the $72,000 level. That was the last high of this last correction. That would be, in my view, at the moment, the worst thing that can happen, and we will probably get rejected again from this weekly uptrend line here and rise from there. But at the moment, my main indicator stays this daily downtrend here. Until we stay below that, I will probably take no action if we see a breakout, a pullback, and a break of the pullback to the upside. That would be the indicator for me to go again long in Bitcoin with a long position also with this account here. Yeah, that's it for Bitcoin. I wish you a good week. Much luck with your trading. And yeah, stay in the game. That's the message I want to give you if the times get a little bit harder than expected. Till then, bye bye. Till next weekend.